Chavrim, I'm Stephen Benoon, and you are watching Israeli News Live. And very serious situation happening over in Iraq right now. According to this Twitter post here, you are hearing this is live fire by the Iraqi police military against protesters. And they are dropping like flies in the streets there. Now, I don't know if they're both using ammunition or not, but this is the situation over in Iraq. It has been a blackout. Turn down the volume a little bit more. It's been a blackout over there on what's been going on the internet. But according to this Twitter post here, the internet had just came back up for a few moments. They were able to get this footage here loaded of what is happening in Iraq. And this protest, from what we can see, a lot of different things. I was looking at some of the protesters, their concerns that they were sharing earlier. They were against the current government in Iraq. They were saying that they never voted. There was only a 19% turnout in the vote, and they did not vote for the candidates that were in power. There are also others saying that they're protesting over the situation with Iran. So I don't know for sure what the status is, but this is just a complete slaughter of people. And of course, from what we're hearing, all because of protesting. I'll stop the image just for now. It says non-stop gunfire here for 2 full minutes. This is central Baghdad. The videos are coming out now after more than 24 hours of blackout because the internet came back sporadically a couple of hours ago. That's what's being reported there. So very serious situation, very sad situation nonetheless there. So let me just see if we got anything else going on in Iraq just by doing a search on this. And then, well, actually I saw right there in the top moments here. Let me just kind of pull this one up here. This, of course, is a nighttime video here. Riots again going on. There were reports earlier that there were rubber bullets being used as well as live gunfire. So we have heard both scenarios right now. This is near the U.S. green zone or safe zone that the United States has there. It says here, this was Iraq last night. Police fired live ammo into a crowd of thousands who were protesting high unemployment, poor services, and corruption. At least 20 civilians were killed. And it has been 16 years since the America brought democracy to the country. Maybe we get some information from our good friends that know a lot about things going on in the Middle East. So we will certainly, I'm sure they'll be watching, so maybe I can find out a little bit more details of what's going on here. Looks like the burning of a Humvee is probably being used by Iraq, but it is an American Humvee, and that's just letting you know what they think about the Iraqi government over there in this country here. Also, by the way, we are recording the news broadcast tonight as well, so that it can air on our new channel that we put together here, Fact News Network. And that will be, we're going to work on a little intro for that as well, thanks to our good friend Brother Martin there in South Africa. Haven't got it done as of yet. I only posted an old video on there, Ukraine moves 7 tanks. That was from, I don't know, months ago there. But just to where you guys would be able to subscribe. This is going to be a backup channel, and news will be posted there. We will try to simulcast our news over there. And at least if we're running live here, we'll record it to where we can also load it here on Fact News Network. So if you put it in the quotation, Fact, F-A-C-T, News, plural, and then Network, it'll bring you right to the channel. 252 people have been able to make it over there. So we're really hoping to kind of get you guys in there so that if something happens to Israeli News Live, we have a backup channel. So we will be a little bit more cautious on the content that we load there, just so you're aware of that as well. Also, this was a very disturbing footage I saw here. Cortez, at one of her town hall meetings that she was doing, the lady They're talking about environmental hazards, and this woman here takes off her jacket with a t-shirt on, telling Cortez that she needs a new slogan. She said one guy was talking about cannibalism would be one way to solve this issue. She talks about eating babies. Now, that's bad enough in itself, but Cortez doesn't even respond. At least from the C-SPAN footage that we're shown here, she doesn't respond. Maybe she did respond afterwards, but I would have had to told the woman straight up, this is an insane idea. You know, okay, yeah, you have a right to your opinion, but it's insane for somebody to talk about eating your children, eating not just your children, but the children, period. She said you got to get rid of all the kids and eat them. That's what she said. Eat the children. Listen into this just for a moment. And mind you, it is disturbing just to hear this being said. Listen into this.
Because of the climate crisis, we only have a few months left. I love that you support the Green Deal, but it's not getting rid of fossil fuel. It's not going to solve the problem fast enough. A Swedish professor saying, we can eat dead people, but that's not fast enough. So I think your next campaign slogan has to be this: we got to start eating babies. We don't have enough time. There's too much CO2. All of you're a pollutant. Too much CO2. We have to start now, please. You are so great.
You guys catching this?
I'm so happy that you're really supporting the Green Deal, but it's not enough. Even if we would bomb Russia, we still have too many people, too much pollution. So we have to get rid of...
We have too many people on the earth, too much CO2 pollution. So her idea, since we can't bomb Russia, that won't solve the problem, as she puts it. Eat the children. I'm at a loss for words. And what I'm even more lost of words at is you go on here, even when they take the microphone from her.
One of the things that's very important to us is that we need to treat the climate crisis with the urgency that it does present. Luckily, we have more than a few months. We do need to hit net zero in several years.
But no addressing of eating the babies or the children. The shirt says eat the children, but her actual words were eat the babies. I can't help but think of biblical times when Herod said to go kill all the children from 2 years old and under because he was trying to kill Christ. And then, of course, we ended up having an abortion that killed the kids that way. Now it's just flat out, okay, kill them and eat them, I guess. This is insane. And why isn't somebody saying something about it? I'm blown away by this. I really, really am just blown away by this. Also, over in Texas, a jury convicts an ex-police officer who fatally shot their neighbor. And I didn't know of this case here in Dallas, so I can't really say a whole lot about this. I know the mother of the young man that was shot and killed by the 30-year-old police officer that was found guilty to murder, and the police officer will face 10 years in prison, was really upset that the sentence was so light. But yet her son, the brother of the victim, a young man as well, he called on repentance of the police officer and said that he forgave her. And he said, I don't speak for my family, but I'm just telling you what I say for myself. And it was a very emotional moment in the courtroom as he spoke on his behalf, or his own personal side there. And he called on her to accept Jesus Christ as her Savior. The only thing I knew about the case from what they talk about as this thing is wrapping up there is that the police officer lived in the same building of the man that was shot and killed. And as she was coming home, she entered into his apartment thinking she was going into her own apartment, thinking she had an intruder in the apartment, and she shot and killed him. The Geiger is the name of the police officer, Amber Geiger, and the young man that was shot, I thought that was right on here as well. Let me just see if I can find that as well. Let's see here. Well, where's the young man's name there? Okay, Jean, let's see, walked up to Jean's apartment, which was on the 4th floor, directly above hers on the 3rd, and found the door unlocked. She was off duty but still dressed in her police uniform after a long shift when she shot Jean with her service weapon. The 26-year-old accountant had been eating a bowl of ice cream before Geiger entered his home. Jean, who grew up in the Caribbean island national of St. Lucia, came to the U.S. for college before starting his career as an accountant. His shooting drew the widespread attention because of the strange circumstances and because it was in the string of shootings of unarmed black men by white police officers. You know, if he lives in the exact same apartment number, I would say this, if he lives in the exact same apartment number, but it's just a different floor, you can see how something like this would happen and why it was not tried as, or she was not convicted as manslaughter is kind of bizarre from what I've seen there as well. And believe me, there's a lot of fatalities that go on by police that are just totally unwarranted in my opinion. But in a case like this here, I think they said that they used text that she had made. I guess she had made racial text or something like that to convict her for murder. In other words, basically, whatever she had been saying and text on her cell phone there, they used that as her means for wanting to kill this guy. I don't think the text had anything to do with this young man, though. But that was what ended up getting her charged. And she did seem to be very remorseful for what had happened to start with. And I don't say this as far as for someone to get off scot-free, by no means, because I see shootings of black people that happen, we see it in the news all the time, totally uncalled for. You know, but I can also see how this could have easily turned into a situation that was just not intentional. And again, I don't know the circumstances of the case, so I can't say for certain. I thought this was kind of an odd situation. And sometimes, unfortunately, the justice system feels like that if they don't convict, they're afraid that it will only get worse in the community. In other words, if they didn't convict her, they might have felt like that there could have been riots, more people could have died as a result. And in regards to that, they probably felt like that convicting this woman might calm those fears down. After all, many other black men had been killed in Texas that were unarmed. You know, that's really sad, though, to see when somebody gets, you know, again, don't knowing all the facts that were presented in the case, but if this is really true, that, you know, it was an accident that happened and then get charged for murder, that's an unfortunate for an officer that didn't mean to do it. But at any rate, my heart goes out to the black community as well, though, because there are so many times the black community is targeted just because of the color of their skin, and because they're often assumed that this is crime and things of that nature there. So, you know, it's really kind of a tough situation to look at. Anyway, I'm Steve Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live. Also, you're watching Fact News Network. Blessings to you all. Erev Tov.